Good morning, everyone. We are the Complementary Tree Group, and today we'll talk about our park, Operation 3.
Our first step was to come up with goals to focus the design of our park. We wanted to create a land that was built on guest interaction, story driven architecture, and a teachable story. This led us to coming up with several ideas, from overall theme to attraction elements early on in the process. After putting out ideas, we quickly agreed on a 1950s spy or detective game. This way, guests could live out the roles of being a spy while enjoying a themed land rooted in history. Our board ideas showcase references to use, color schemes, and initial story beats to drive the design process. Our story naturally developed into a region with three factions, where we worked on creating stories and traits for each that guests could relate to. Design for the land was centered on 1950s architecture. This way, guests could imagine this as a real location and story with themselves playing an important role. The hub design felt the most useful for our purposes. It allowed each faction to have its own area with different designs to create a whole world in the park.
Our world Operation 3, it's a kitchen sink style land design. The story is about three distinct factions who are living in separate parts of this country, Clade. They came together when one of these factions discovers a precious material, Red Star, and they're now about to fight over it. Our goal is for guests to experience what it's like to be a spy. We want to recreate the 1950s film noir style, but we've added a touch of our own vibrancy because of the emerging technology. Our land will teach guests about respecting cultures and differences, and also healthy competition. We want guests to leave feeling accomplished and like they've done something bigger than themselves because of the collaboration and participating in the attractions. So I want to get into this Red Star, what it is and why everyone is fighting over it. Clade City is the epicenter of the country of Clade, and it starts when a mining party in Clade City discovers this Red Star, and it's got endless applications. News of the discovery travels quickly, and members of each region rush to Clade City to take advantage of this Red Star. Due to the pressure of losing power, the faction heads of Aldrich and Triumph relocate their offices to Clade City, and that creates mass immigration in turn. As the factions reestablish themselves, three districts are formed within Clade City, and the heads choose to reserve the Red Star only for the government projects until it's resolved on how to use it. This goes on for 7 years until new leaders take over the Aldrich and Triumph factions, and this is where everything changes. Each leader wants to use the material for their own ideals and needs. Things get so bad that the government splits and the factions begin war. That's where you, the guest, come in. As a guest, you choose your faction and you choose your class, one of three, which is agent, investigator, and officer. So the classes. The reason we have three classes is due to the nature of there being no standing armies for any of the factions. This was because they all lived in peace, and now they decide that this is the best way to go about having war. So we've got agents, and they're a traditional spy, espionage, working under pressure, and they have great poker faces. Officers are more of a hands-on spy. They use intimidation, they're fearless, and can work with their hands. Although theoretically, guests won't have to do physical tasks. And then investigators, they're a spy that operates best using quick wits. They uncover clues, they're very tech-savvy, and they can tinker and create tools with their surroundings. Each class is needed to infiltrate, overpower, and advance beyond the other factions. So the reformed Clade City has three districts, and each has a political party: the Clade Party, the Triumph Party, and the Aldrich Party. To the west is the Triumph District, and then to the north is the Clade District, and to the east is the Aldrich District. These parties were formed because there was always one unifying constitution, but when they moved closer, they had to create even more rules around this Red Star. Next are the factions and their leaders. The Clades are the oldest faction, and where the other factions have originated. They're strong-willed and benevolent people. Their leader is Thomas, codenamed Nylock. He's the people's voice and champion. He has a strong sense of justice and morality, and he's never been afraid to speak his mind. He's led Clay City for 20 years. His goal is to build the country's wealth through trading the Red Star. The Triumphs, on the other hand, they're a stubborn group of people, a little rough around the edges. Their past is riddled with dark political leaders who use any means necessary to gain favor. Their leader, Randall, has served for the Triumphs for almost 2 years after his uncle's mysterious passing. He won the votes of the people through his slick words, his charm, and possibly underhanded tactics. He has dangerous intentions. He claims he wants to unite the people, but really he just wants to control everyone with the Red Star. Lastly are the Aldrichians. They're a peace-filled group who respect nature and each other. They also have keen technological prowess. Their land, Aldrich, is a deep forest filled with freshwater streams and pine trees. Though they're calm, they have been forced to fight out of fear of the Red Star being misused. Melanie, or Nim, is their leader. She's still a teenager and was granted authority soon before the war broke out, after she resolved an irrigation issue in the Aldrich region by using the Red Star. Aside from the faction leaders, we've got some additional characters. Each faction leader has 2 advisors who will guide guests throughout their journey. Each set of party heads has 1 member of each class. Thomas's best friend Glenn, or Wing, and his daughter Catherine, codenamed Ice. Under Randall are Elise, codenamed Nail, and Alan, codenamed Screw. They were surprisingly quick to aid Randall after his uncle's passing. Melanie's advisors are Sylvia, or Tem, and Joe, codenamed G. They're 2 political veterans who guide her in making all major decisions.
When guests first enter, they are greeted by brick-faced buildings that lead you into the land. This serves as a transition between the entrance to the highly detailed world beyond. These buildings have shops, guest services, and our entry show. Our main attractions in the park allow guests to enjoy different experiences, between story-driven shows, a simple roller coaster or a boat tour, to a shooting-based dark ride. There's plenty to do, but the main focus is on the guest game. Connected to mobile devices, guests can complete missions, search for clues, or stop enemy factions while supporting their own. Guest-selected faction plays roles across the land, including within the main ride. Our main attraction is an AR-based shooting dark ride. Guests will choose their class, which gives them specific targets within the ride. The ride travels throughout the city, ending with a big battle where the Red Star material is destroyed. After the ride, guests see a score screen for their individual factions, as well as a daily tally to create competition and a reason to come back. We designed into the layout at 1 large restaurant and several quick stops and snack stands. The restaurant is located in the Triumphs section and allowed us to design a fancy 1950s menu and theme. Each quick service would have its own theme, but would share similar options, such as milkshakes.
Next, we've got visuals. Keeping up with 3 was crucial, so giving each faction 3 colors made a lot of sense. The Triumphs, they're red, purple, and gold. The red has a darker feel combined with purple, because their leader, Randall, he's essentially like a villain, even though he isn't. And then for the Clades, we gave them blues, which is a calm and cool and good color. Just like Thomas, he's seen as a good guy. And then Aldrich, they've got green, yellow, orange, and gray. The orange and green, that's sort of the energy and forest area that they've got. And then the gray, it's a neutral color, which shows their stance in the war, even though they're forced to fight. And then lastly, for our visuals, is just character design sketches, and you can see the shapes and silhouettes we use, and also expression sheets for our faction leaders. And then after that is logos. For logos, we wanted to combine the 3 faction logos to form into one. With the faction logos, we create a mountain shape for the Triumphs, a gear shape for the Clades, which is like industrial, and then a leaf for Aldrich. It's also an arrow. And then these combine to a circle that creates this magnifying glass, and then that is the Operation 3 logo. We combine it with a text, which is Hamburger Heaven, and then we gave it a bold red with a drop shadow, just to give it that 50s feel. And then lastly, for our visuals, is just character design sketches, and you can see the shapes and silhouettes we use, and also expression sheets for our faction leaders.
To make sure that our park is sustainable in the long term, we came up with some proposed methods We'll introduce new storyline in the game and the ride to create new experiences for our returning guests. Along the same line, we'll also introduce seasonal activity to attract new and old customers into the park multiple times a year. We'll also make sure that we provide good customer service consistently. This may include making sure that the park is not overcrowded, have a good traffic flow, have good accessibility, and customer service. We'll also have royalty programs such that frequent visitors get discounts, early access, and access to VIP events. In addition to attracting customer on what we have within the park, outside of the park, we are going to create marketing campaign to convey that our park is a place for friends to gather and hang out. In terms of technology usage within our park, we're going to use mobile application to track traffic flow and purchasing behavior of guests. We'll use the data obtained to increase customer satisfaction with more personalized experience. Moreover, we're going to use light projection, 3D sound projection, mist and fog machine in order to make it a more immersive experience. To best maintain the process of creating this theme experience, we created an organizational structure that involves a general management, commercial management, operation management, human resources, technical service management, and administration finance management. Everyone will work together with a common goal of delivering the best customer experience possible. The potential location of our park would be Seattle. Not only does Seattle have rainy weather which fits the theme of our land, it is also a common layover location, have large student population from university in the area, as well as close proximity to the Canadian border, giving us confidence that there will be a constant stream of visitors into our park. The choice of our location also comes with constraints. Firstly, the rainy weather means that it is not appropriate to develop a lot of outdoor rides. Secondly, Seattle might not have enough land for us to build our park on, and we might face some resistance when building our park as there will be environmental impact during construction and operation of our theme park. Our money generation method include sales of admission ticket, sales of merchandise in retail, and food and beverages. Thank you everybody for listening. Have a great day.